You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging with you guys, and good morning. Well, today's podcast topic, I wanted to talk for just a few minutes about the importance of have you ran the numbers. And that was a thought, and that's a thought that's been with me, to be honest with you, for the last couple of weeks and months, as we continue to grow our business, as we continue to get into different services, and really focus on making money. Now, let's just be really quick here. We use things and we love on people. We don't use people and love on things. You guys have always heard me say that. But at the end of the day, we have a business. You have a business, I would imagine. And your goal is to make money. And so we do talk quite a bit on this podcast about ways to make money, strategies about making money, dialing it in, amping it up, ramping it up, growth, so much and so forth, right? But the idea is like we're here to make money with our business. And sometimes I almost wonder, and I say this was exceptional empathy and love and, grace to anybody listening in, because myself included, the topic of like, have we ran the numbers to realize if we're actually making money? Now, I know a lot of us do a annual review, or of course, when we file our taxes, some of us do a quarterly review. And if you're really good, you do a month to month. And if you're really, really, really good, you might do a week to week or even a day to day, right? And potentially as your team grows, you're able to look and maybe have a little bit better finger on the pulse with those kind of topics. Well, I wanted to talk about that for just a couple of minutes here as we continue to think about fall, as we continue to think about getting into snow, as we continue to think about our future growth plans, both with employees, equipment, the growth of our company top line, hopefully the growth of the company bottom line, is what are we doing to make sure that we're running the numbers, to make sure that we're as profitable as possible? Now, a lot of this conversation actually stemmed from some side conversations I had at Nick Carlson's open house just a couple of weeks ago. They're at Dawson Manufacturing. Super good time, super great folks. By the way, if you did not listen to, forgive me on the episode number, but half dozen back with Nick Carlson and his dad, Craig, I invite you guys to go back, check that episode out, maybe after this one, 5 or 6 episodes back, wasn't that far. And those two guys just did such an amazing job. I had probably no less than 10, 20 DMs and emails and messages saying, that was phenomenal. Nick was great. I was sending them all to Nick and his dad, Craig, and said, you guys are making a real difference out there. Thank you for pouring into our community. And those guys are the real deal. So if you missed that, you're 100% missing out way more than this episode. You got to go listen to the real sauce back on that episode. But I had a couple conversations with some folks that were picking up the Mulchmates, picking up the DMT trailers, and what those folks are actually using them for. Right? Imagine this. So we went there and we're talking about a niche machine. I don't know the going rate on a Mulchmate. Let's say $28,000 to $40,000. I actually have no idea. Probably mid 30s. And the DMT trailer, you can outfit those from $30,000 to $80,000. And that's like a huge trailer. It's Amish built. It's all steel and iron and big boy stuff, big equipment, big hydraulics, big dump, 12 or 14 plus cubic yard dumper, the whole deal, right? The whole kit and caboodle. Well, while I'm there, I'm asking everybody that's coming through. They had an open house, little customer appreciation day. Probably, 50 to 100 people rolled through. They were grilling burgers. The whole Mulchmate team was there. And it was just a phenomenal time, right? But while I'm there, I'm trying to have these side conversations with this guy picking up a brand new trailer. Dude just signed on $50,000, $80,000, $100,000, right? Next guy's coming in with his dump truck with a Mulchmate. And the next guy's coming in and he's got a Mulchmate. And the next guy's got a Truckmate. And I'm thinking to myself, well, these aren't like necessarily only or exclusively mow and blow guys, right? So I'm saying, what are you guys doing with this thing? You're rolling out here with 30, 50, 80, 100 grand worth of equipment. Like, what are you doing with this stuff? Well, I'm going to get to that in just a quick second. But as you can imagine, a lot of these guys are specialty services like top dressing, mulch, maybe some yard leveling, right? Different things that you wouldn't really think about getting into, but they are proven to be very hyper profitable for these guys. Now, again, Corey Ballard, I got to slow down a little bit here. Corey Ballard always says, would you rather have a $20 million company doing 10% or what is the line, guys? A $10 million company doing 20%? Whatever the numbers is, let's say it's both net $2 million. And he's done a lot of coaching, a lot of consulting over his years. And without fail, Corey has always said, everybody picks the $20 million company. Whether that's an ego thing, whether it's a prideful thing, whether it's, hey, I got 75 trucks and 125 employees, folks, I don't even know, right? I aspire to get there one day. I'm not there just yet, so I'm not going to talk theory on this podcast ever. And it kind of shows you like, well, if the goal in business is to make money, and the goal is to have a profitable business, let's throw out a different example. Would you have a $5 million company with a 5% margin, and that would be, I don't know, let's say $250,000, or would you rather have a $1 million company with a 25% margin, making $250,000? Right? I mean, it's the same deal. Would you have God, I'm horrible at math today, folks. My brain is fried. The last day I should be doing mental math on the podcast, but you guys are catching my drift. 10 million, 10%, or a $10 million company with a 25% margin, right? Obviously, somebody's going to be making $2.5 million on 10 million, gross profit. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty healthy. And it's not always with more mow crews, more landscape crews, more hardscape crews, right? I mean, it doesn't always have to be. And so my great macro point on this today is, if I could charge any of you guys with one thing here, we'll get into a couple of different numbers in a quick second. If I can charge anybody just a 5 or 6 minute takeaway in today's podcast episode, it's, have you ran the numbers? Like, are you at least, I'm not saying sign up with LMN or Synced Up or, dial in your knowing your numbers calculator that we have at Launchpreneur Academy. All great, all awesome resources. Hope you sign up with all of it. Use promo code Brian. We love you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Listen, it's not about that. It's, are you running the numbers to know if what you're about to do or are doing or have done was profitable, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, all I think about when I'm in fight or flight or survival mode is, I got to get to the next lawn. I got to sell the next job. I got to lock down the next contract. I got to get this landscape schedule pushed out 2-3 weeks. Pac-Man's chomping up behind me. Coming up behind me. I got to sell. I got to sell. I got to sell. And when you're in the sales position of your company, whether you got a 3, 4, 5, 10 person company, 25 person company, and you're in the sales machine, but hat, you are selling and you are building and working on the business, but you are selling. And if you don't sell, we all know what? Pac-Man comes up behind you, he eats you, and you lose the level, right? Or you got to find the fruit and turn all the monsters into the ghosts, and then you can go chase the ghosts, get bonus points. I don't know what that translates to in real life or business. Another analogy for another time. But let's stay focused. If you're not selling, then you're going to obviously have that Pac-Man catch up to you. So it's not like you're always bidding, or maybe you can always focus so much on the profitability of all your work. Of course, you're pricing it accurately. You're trying to bid it accurately. You're trying to estimate it correctly. But are we even spending any time on the front end to make sure that we're profitable? Are we spending any time on the back end, or even during the job, right? Are we profitable? Change orders, this, that. How's the job going? Are we over, under? And of course, doing autopsies on the job. To be totally honest with you, 1 in 5 jobs, am I really looking at hours, profitability, or any kind of metrics on it? There's just no way. I just don't have the bandwidth or the capacity. Now, thank God, thank Jesus, I know that we're doing pretty well because we have, of course, LMN helping us on the front end, bid and price and do all this stuff as accurately as we can on the front end. But we do not have the bandwidth or the capacity to do anything on the back end as an autopsy, on a job cost or an autopsy on the business. Now, we have our P&L, right? So we are measuring some metrics. I get to meet once a month, once every 6 to 8 weeks with Cycle CPA, once a quarter with my personal CPA. So I have a decent pulse on the business, and I also see what's in the checking account. So I'm not completely flying blind. But again, am I spending the amount of time necessary, that I believe I should be to self-audit and monitor and know my numbers on the profitability of the work we have done or that we're currently doing, or how is it going? No. And that's what I need to continue to spend more time. I'm just being honest with you guys. Hopefully you appreciate the transparency and the candidness. That's what I need to continue to get better on. Now, I am significantly further along thanks to LMN. But again, I would love and can't wait to hire more folks and build my team and to have the capacity to do a little bit more back-end bookkeeping to know where we're at and where the numbers actually lie. All right, so let's go back to the top of the hour. I want to talk about for just a couple minutes the profitability of some of these services, the profitability of running the numbers. I don't want to say just knowing your numbers, but have you ran the numbers, right? Before we just kind of go into growth mode. Okay. So let's do this really quick. I'm going to change it up. I'm going to get a sip of water. I'm coming in hot off of vacation. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a quick second. Let's hear from today's show sponsors announcements, guys. We'll change it up, switch it back, and we'll come right on back.
Attention lawn care pros. You're invited to the biggest event of the year, Lawntrepreneur Academy Live 2024. November 2nd in Novi, Michigan. Whether you're just starting or scaling up, this is the place to be. Join us for an action-packed day with expert sessions on cash flow management, business automation, client retention, marketing, and more. We've lined up an incredible roster of speakers to help you elevate your business, including Sam Rankin,
Pat Murray,
Ken Deemer,
Brian Fullerton,
Sam Gimbel,
Mark Bradley,
and Jeff Joyner. You'll network with like-minded pros, enjoy exciting giveaways, and get ready to take your business to new heights. Don't miss our Friday night mixer for some fun and camaraderie before we get down to business. And of course, that's not all. Extend your learning with our exclusive Sunday masterclass sessions on November 3rd. Limited to just 20 seats each, these in-depth 3-hour sessions feature Jeff Joyner,
Mark Bradley,
and Sam Gimbel. This is your chance to get personalized insights and strategies from the best in the business. Details on attending the masterclass sessions are available at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com. There is an additional charge for these classes, and they will sell out fast. Tickets for the main event on Saturday are $249 until September 17th, then $297. Visit LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com to grab yours now and look into securing your spot for the masterclass sessions on Sunday. I'm telling you, don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to level up and connect with industry leaders. See you in Novi this November. There's a special link in the show description.
Thank you to our sponsors, Exmark, Boss, Short Track, and LMN.
Lawntrepreneur Academy Live 2024.
All right, guys, let's hop back into it here. Again, first off, just want to say a big thank you for all of you guys joining the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast today. If you guys don't know, it's all about Lawns Lessons Life. We've been rocking the podcast since, what would it be? Early spring 2024. I did a little soft launch in 2019. Paul Jamison came over, helped us launch. But then we really dropped the shows, I think, end of February, first part of March. And my gosh, since then, it's been a blur. 3.3, 3.4. I have no idea, actually. I know we're over 3 million downloads. Number one downloaded lawn care podcast in terms of like monthly downloads. I think Paul's got more cumulative downloads, but right now we're ranking higher than anything doing this thing, and that's all because of you guys. I just got to say that out loud. I'm pumped about that. I'm thankful for that. We've been trending in the top 200 for the better part of 4 years because of you guys, and all top charts, all top everything. Thank you. So if you guys are new here, I have a lawn and landscape business up here in Metro Detroit, Michigan. We've got 3 full-time guys, myself, and then 2 or 3 part-time guys that float around and have been logging some pretty good hours. One of the guys was full-time for about 4 or 5 months here this summer, Jake, and then he just went back to college. All things being said, we're continuing to grow every single day. We should hit about 4.25 this year, maybe 450, depends on how Q3 and Q4 really go here. One thing I will say is that we're super excited about growth and going into the future. And really this year, laying the foundation to have a phenomenal 2025. Great people, great training, working on attitudes, working on educating, working on skill gap, and just helping guys learn and grow and putting the infrastructure in place to grow. Last 6 months, we've onboarded with LMN, transformative. I'm not going to give a whole pitch on that one here today. 100% has my endorsement. If you guys have any questions on that, holler at your boy. I will get you all set up and we'll get you promo code Brian. Unlock the best pricing, the best savings. I know a lot of you guys are excited about onboarding this fall. We started a private Facebook group, 10 months ago with Link, 205 members, I think it is now, growing every day. Can't wait to have more of you guys join us. The conversation there is phenomenal. So a lot going on, as you guys can imagine, behind the scenes with everything in our life. Real time, looking out the window right now at our house, we got about a month left with construction. It is rapidly coming together. It's looking phenomenal. My wife and I are so thankful, so blessed. We're so excited about that. We cannot wait to move into that. So that's why I'm not trying to grow to 500,000, 650, 700, 800, $1 million this year. There's just no way. I don't have the capacity to do that. It's their story to tell, but AJ and Alicia Brensel, they run a $10, $15 million excavation business out in Philadelphia. I think it is Pennsylvania, somewhere, or maybe Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. When they, when they built their custom home about a year or 2 years ago, their company halved. Now, some of that was, some of that was economic. It was an election year and all this other mess, I believe, in COVID and a little of this, little of that. But they talked about how like their business halved. And that was frightening to hear. And so my wife and I said, for us to be up like 7 to 10, 12%, I said, by the skin of our teeth and my guys' efforts exclusively, and I'm selling the best I can, but to have our company up, and I can't wait to get our, what did we just finish up? August. We're about to get our September reports if we didn't get them already while I was gone on vacation. I should be able to see where we're at a little bit more real time and let you guys know how we're doing as a company. But I'm very, very grateful about that. So between the house, life, business, social media, the podcast, this, and this, things are absolutely wild, which, just to get into it for a quick second here, my mom gifted us a family cruise this last week. So we did replay a little bit of podcast episodes on, I think it was Friday. So thanks, guys, for a little bit of that grace. But some really solid snow content there, both on Monday and Friday. So that's where we're at as a company. My wife and I absolutely did not get to recharge as much as we love. If you have kids, you realize you don't really vacation. You just parent in a different location, is what I saw on an Instagram reel. I thought that was great. Grandma did her best to keep up. My older brother did his best to keep up and kind of play with the kids. Liz and I did our best to get a little poolside, this and that. And it was definitely fun. We did Royal Caribbean. A lot of people were asking Royal Caribbean and then just Eastern Caribbean, I guess. It was on the Icon of the Seas, which is like the new fancy ship. But my mom was able to hook us up with all that and bless us. Super grateful for that. Like, not a lot of handouts have ever been given out to Liz or myself in our life. I will assure you that. This cruise is the first time my mom was able to bless us with a family vacation, which we just couldn't afford to do anything like that this year with all the obligations of the business, trying to, of course, focus on financially cash flow, a bunch of overages on the house, all that mess. It just didn't have it in the cards. You know, we use our work to travel, not just go on vacations, if that makes sense. And so that's why we do it together in the trades. That's why we'll do some of the different summits that we go to in the fall or the winter, some of them that we host. You know, it's an excuse to make it a business trip, a business expense, take everybody out there, spend a couple of days at some conferences, spend a couple extra days or evenings at least, and get to kind of see the country. Invite you guys to jump on that bandwagon with us. There's a reason Together in the Trades travels, and some announcements coming down the pike, I think, in the next couple of weeks. Where 2025 Together in the Trades is going to be, by the way. Super excited about that. All hands on deck for Southeast USA. So we're going down south, I think it is. And that announcement will come here before you know it. So if you guys can't imagine, things are very, very busy around here, right? And so one thing I can't wait to do is once I'm done building the house, and I always say this, like, oh, once this is done, one more thing, you know, like, boy, can you imagine when we don't have to buy this and next year I can have that 5-10 grand working over here? But there's always like one more thing, right? It's almost like one more season, or I don't know if you guys are ever guilty of saying stuff like that. Like, well, just one more thing, or just one more place, or one more. And it's like, dude, it's always going to be forever. It's called life. One of the lines I heard was, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. And that always stuck with me. So we're just having life like you guys are as well. But one thing I want to get better at is, have you ran the numbers? Okay, I really just want to drill down and double back and circle back on that thought for just a quick second. And one or two stories that really impressed me. I know one that's sticking out for sure. And I hope to get the guy at least on a YouTube video and, of course, and or a podcast. And I got to reconnect with Nick. And it was such a busy day. There was 100 people in and out. I'm trying to film some stuff. Nick flew me in. It was super cool time. You know, I'm just trying to serve Nick. Podcast, YouTube, Instagram Shorts, you know, the whole deal. And one of the guys I got to meet there, he had that new Earthway or Earth and Turf spreader, you know, a top dresser. I don't know if you guys have seen those. They always go viral. I love that thing. My ears are up, man. I'm on point, like a short-haired pointer, like a husky. My ears like up and twitching, you know, like I'm looking at that thing and I'm going, what the hell? Like, that's an awesome thing to get into, is top dressing, right? Well, the dude, and I'm not going to steal a story or his thunder, but the dude was there and he's grossing like $70, $80, $100,000 a month solo. Hear me. $100,000 a month solo doing this stuff with a mulch mate, an Earth and Turf, whatever, little plug for those guys. Shout out to them. Little Earth and Turf. If you haven't seen this thing on Instagram, top dress spreader. It looks like a stand-on machine with a big conveyor belt and a bucket hopper, you know, just kind of top dressing. Little roller shoots it down into the grass. Sand, topsoil, all this mess. I'd love to get those guys on the show. And this guy is just printing money. Now, how many of you guys out there have a team of 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 people, and you're scraping by to get $1 million on the books, $1 million on the board? And I'm not being funny. I'm right there with you. You know, you're running 100, 150 grand per man, right? And your team, you got some hardscape guys pushing a quarter, 150 to 250 per guy. And you've got this guy and many like him all day at Mulchmate doing 50, 80, 100 grand. Not all of them, but enough of them for me to go, you're doing what? And we've got 3 trucks going, 2 crews moving, 5 guys this. One guy's always calling off for that. He's got a stubbed toe, and the other guy's got a rusty nail in his foot. You don't know what the hell happened. He doesn't know either. Of course, he doesn't tell you until Sunday at 8 p.m. You guys ever been there? And you're like, what the hell? And then this guy, it's just him with reliable equipment, reliable machines, pretty much everything under warranty. He's good to go, top dressing, making 50, 80, 100 a month, netting probably 20, 30, 40 on that. And the dude's just printing money. And you're over here with 5, 8, 10%, 12% margins, sucking wind, trying to cash flow payroll. Now, listen, you can hear something like that, get a couple options, right? You can get pissed, you can get motivated, you can get down, you can get bitter, you can get apathetic, you can get motivated, you can get pumped up, you can get inspired, all the above. I don't know what it is for you, but for me, that inspired the snot out of me. Because as I continue to grow, I'm thinking, yes, we have the core business, the mow guys, the snow. Mowing snow, site management. But I'm thinking to myself, what if we just started mixing a little bit of tractor work? Just the small niche, high ticket type stuff. Tractor work, grading dirt work, top dressing work, aerations and overseeding for sure are a small portion of like that niche kind of world, right? I mean, that's big money stuff. So if you guys are listening into the podcast and you guys are thinking, I want to grow, I would invite you to have you run the numbers on growth for a 2-man mow crew. I have a video coming down the pike. I'm going to drop on that, what it looks like. And maybe you're watching some of the other guys that are more numbers and digit focused on YouTube, and that's fine. Just, be cautious with some of those folks. But have you ran the numbers down? What if you got an aerator with an overseed, or even rented the machine for crying out loud and just did aeration overseeds? What if you got a top dressing machine and started offering that? And I don't have no numbers, no rates. I have no idea yet. I'm all new to that, but I'd love to get this other guy on that was like the master of it, right? But what if you got into dethatchings and overseeding with a starter fert? What if you got into dirt work, grading, and laying down, seed or sod in a starter fert and irrigation? What if you get into irrigation work? What if you get into lighting work, right? I want to just maybe challenge you guys a little bit. If you're looking and seeking out growth, we always say know your numbers, but really have you ran the numbers before you even get into it? Knowing your numbers more, it's like an autopsy conversation to me. Like, do you know what's going on in your business? But have you ran the numbers about what your business could get into, good or bad, right? And you're like, I'm going to drop 200 grand for a 10% margin on a 2-man mowing crew. Fine, great, nothing wrong with that. Or you could have your 2 crews that are going out, 1 mow crew, 1 landscape crew. You've been training up your landscape guy for 5 years. You're ready to go. You can do some pretty good renos, 3 to 5 grand jobs, 10 grand jobs without you. And then you can go do tractor work, bush hogging. You can go do, top dressing. You can go do aeration and overseeding, pruning, right? Like there's some real good numbers and some real good margin in all that kind of stuff. Okay. That's where I'm going to leave it. I don't want to make it any more complicated than that. I don't have to draw this out any more than it needs to be. That's just something that's been really on my mind that I wanted to share with you guys, admittedly on this shorter episode today, as I'm coming back in on vacation, kind of back into the headspace of my business, my life, bills, finances, ins and outs, keeping the guys going, checking in on them, checking in on you guys. By the way, quick shout out and thank you to Jeremiah last week for hosting the weekly Link live stream on Wednesday at 9 p.m. That's something we do every week with Link. I was on the boat in the middle of the ocean with no signal, the exact way I wanted it to be. Nothing can get to you when you're on a cruise ship. And frankly, that's why my wife and I started doing a vacation cruise like once a year, every other year until COVID. And then, the world ended and all that mess. But we're excited to hopefully get back on that, or a little bit on a schedule with some of that vacation type life. Definitely as things kind of simmer down here with the extra financial obligations I have with building the home and all the overages and cash flow and that and the barn. It's been a very wild 12, 18 months. I talked a lot about that at Together in the Trades. But one thing I just wanted to say, besides, of course, thank you to Jeremiah, was, the final question of, have you ran the numbers? Okay, that's something that story personally has been on my mind for about 3 weeks now, as I came back from Dawson Manufacturing. And it was something that I just wanted to share with you guys and leave with you guys on today's podcast episode. Not a grand topic, but at the same point, it doesn't need to be a long show to kind of get a quick point across that. Have you ran the numbers? Ask your buddies, ask your peers, ask those guys out there, reach out to them. Hey, what are you charging? What are you getting? What are you making? Right? Versus just looking at these monolith, magnanimous companies that are running 5, 10, 20 million with a 5, 10% margin versus a guy doing $1 million with a 40% margin. right? Like, don't get confused. At the end of the day, we're here to make money. We're here to make profit. And I think some of these niche services are what you guys can do. And I know for a fact there's some of them that I can do. And that's what gets me excited as I continue to grow and scale, hopefully multiple crews over the next couple of years. I can continue to keep extra income, extra cash flow, high profit, both for myself and the extra work that I can do by myself and self-perform while I'm wearing a couple different hats, and can still manage a lot of that work 10, 20 hours a week while I'm building the business the other 10, 20 hours a week, if that makes sense. So that's my 40, 50 hour week kind of schedule. That's my idea. That's my vision. That's what I'm hoping to do, and implore you guys to, think about that as you guys continue to think about growth both this fall, winter, and into 2025. That's where I'm going to leave it for you guys today. If we can do anything for you guys, please don't hesitate to reach out. Reach out to us on Instagram at Brian's Law Maintenance. Shoot me a DM. Reach me an email, brianslawmaintenance2007@gmail.com. We are going to extend the ticket deadline for Launchpreneur Academy until like October 1st, October 2nd kind of a deal, whatever's that first Monday of the month. As I come back into it mentally, I want to give you guys another couple weeks to capitalize on the early bird registration, help you guys save some money. So if you have not got your registration yet for Launchpreneur Academy, it was supposed to end on Tuesday this week coming up. We're going to give it another 2 weeks just to help you guys save some money, lock in your early bird ticket price, and get up to Novi, Michigan in November. We cannot wait to have you guys there. And last but not least, thank you guys so much for joining Link. And I hope to see so many of you guys Wednesday night, 9 p.m. It's going to be a barn burner. It always is. And we can't wait to have you guys there. All right. So that's what I got for you guys. Check out all the links in the show notes if you guys want to learn more. By the way, the show notes, if you just scroll down, usually you have to click to expand it. But if you're in your Apple iTunes player, you should see a lot of that stuff just front and center. And you can check out all those links, and you guys can check out, sign up, download, get for free, and or buy, anything with a Brian's 10 code. All of the stuff that we do that you guys can support us with is all right there for you as well. All right. Over and out, guys. Have a great rest of the day. We'll be back here on Wednesday. We can't wait to catch up all you guys here on the next one.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.
Here's a recent episode of the Branded Bull podcast featuring Brian and Adam Fullerton. Make sure to subscribe today.
This is the Branded Bull Podcast, a show dedicated to helping take your business to the next level with winning marketing and branding tips and strategies built for today's competitive world. Ready for your business to make its mark and stand out from the competition? Let's get into it.
Hey guys, Adam Fullerton here with the Branded Bull Podcast, joined in studio with my brother, Brian Fullerton. And on this episode, we're excited to talk about more tips, tactics, and strategies that you can implement in your business to help it grow, stand out from the competition, and make your mark. So Brian, what do we got on the docket for today?
I wanted to talk about professionalism and really graduating as a brand, really graduating as a company, and really trying to get those ideal customers that we're all searching for. And the best way to do it, and really tell just a little bit of a 2-minute testimony here with how you guys have been helping my company the last 12, 18 months really navigate these waters. Now, let me just give a little quick analogy, something that I heard a long time ago, Adam, that really stuck with me. And it's a really simple analogy, and you guys might have heard it before, but let's just say there's a plumber pulling up. You've got an issue at the house, you need a plumber, and Bob's Plumbing pulls up to your house. He's got the nice white, Econoline van, and, or maybe it's a transit van. Stereotypical white, van. The guy pulls up, and it just says Bob's Plumbing and maybe some peeling off black vinyl lettering. And you're like, yeah, he looks pretty good. Looks, typical van. He hops out. He's got the plumber's crack in his tool belt. Okay, this is probably a plumber and he's ready to go. Shout out to my plumber friends out there, right? And by the way, I've got all my stereotypes for grass cutting. I have a landscape company, so I've heard all of it, okay? They call them stereotypes for a reason, you know what I'm saying, folks? But let's just go back to our friend Bob. And so Bob comes out and he's got the low-hanging rear crack jeans. He's not wearing his Duluth, that covers the crack. He's got his plumber belt and, he's got his dip and he's ready to go. Okay, sure. That's Bob's Plumbing. And hopefully if he gets the job done, that's always the great equalizer. As long as he does quality work, hey, we'll cut a check to anybody, right? But let me ask you this. Instead of Bob's Plumbing, a nice white Transit comes in. It's freshly washed. It's been detailed at least once a month. It comes in. It doesn't say Bob's Plumbing. It says Robert E. Smith Plumbing Co. And the guy comes out and he's got pressed pants, like cargos or even jeans, and they're just clean. They got a little bit of starch in them. He's got a collared shirt. He doesn't have the big flannel hanging out or not tucked in. He's got a polo, and on the shirt it says Robert E. Smith Plumbing Co. And he's got the same tool belt. Everybody needs the same tools. And instead of just saying, hey, man, it's check for $192 to fix the toilet, or if you want to do cash for $150, I'll take that too. He says, okay, thank you so much. We completed the service. I have this CRM. I just need to take your credit card, or I can invoice what makes sense for you. Which guy do you want to do business with? Which guy do you trust? Which guy do you feel is the next level imagery kind of professional, best foot forward kind of guy that you want to have over to your house? For me personally, it's going to be the second guy. And I think that's something that my company is really trying to evolve as we become from a residential lawn mowing service company, which is how I got started for 10, 12, 15 years of my life, to we want to go into commercial site management, take care of the Amazon fulfillment centers, big industrial sites, big loaders, equipment, snow machines like that. And you're not going to get those kind of clients or those decision makers with a website that communicates to a residential customer and vice versa. And so who you are in the image that you put out there, the fonts, the text, the photos. I know you're huge on this, Adam. The cohesion, we just talked about that consistency. If you're not matching that up with your professional image for whatever industry or service you're in, I think you're going to be leaving some money on the table, and folks will judge you. They really will judge you. So that's my 2 cents.
100%. So it's kind of like you may come across as an amateur and you're not buttoned up. And then at some point you want to put on that suit and tie so you look crisp, clean, professional, and give that sense of trust, credibility, and peace of mind. Mm-hmm. And people are going to love that. And people are typically going to pay a premium for that as well. So you can potentially raise some rates, make some more money, increase your margin, just more things to think about, when it comes to this topic. So all great information, all great insight. And essentially, if people want to kind of take their, image to the next level, Brian, what are some quick things that they could potentially do to take it to the next level?
Looking at colors, colors of your website and your business, the psychoanalytics. You probably know more about this. The color wheel, the emotions, the tones. I think colors are a big thing. Fonts definitely communicate differently. The fonts of an Apple logo looks entirely different than the feel of a Coca-Cola bottle.
And right? The things that you talked about earlier too is just show up with a nice looking vehicle, show up with a suit on, or not a suit on, but a professional attire, I guess, for the job that you're doing. Some nice branded clothes, or maybe a branded hat. Those things that can, one, have your logo on it so other people can see it, but two, just helps you stand out and helps you just look different than everybody in a good way.
And you got to think sometimes, put yourself in the driver's seat of the customer. Who do you think they're calling, right? Who do you think they want? And then you can be that guy. And you're totally right. If you speak to them at that level, those folks, and even some of the higher price point folks, have no problem spending that money, but you have to pay to play. If you show up with Bob Smith Plumbing or whatever, and you're trying to go do plumbing in a $3 million home, that person will not let you in their house. They will not spend money with you. The average consumer out there is smart. They're educated. They've already done research, and they already know that you're their guy before they ever called you, most likely, right? I mean, Adam, let me just ask you this. When we go to a car dealership, I already know more about the car than the damn sales guy.
Hey, the soft pitch here too, right? This is the power of a website, power of having a social media,
all of it,
being online. Is these people in this day and age, they're on their phone, they're going to go do research, they're going to ask 21 questions before you show up, then they're going to ask another 21 questions, right?
Exactly. So, well, and the last thing I'll say is, if you're going to go buy that car, hate it or like the automotive industry and the dealer network and all that mess, but if you, because we're in Metro Detroit, but if you go buy a car, which company do you trust more? The big dealer with the big marbled floors and the free waters and the big jumbo TV and the nice waiting room and the clean service bay, or buying that car at the back end trailer, and some secondhand, third-hand lot with the flags that say buy it now, save today, no tax credit or income check required. Like, it's just, who are you trying to communicate? And by the way, they both have a customer base, right?
100%.
But I know the folks that have money, that want to invest money into our businesses, they're looking for the professional outfit out there. And I think there's a lot to be desired in our professionalism. So it's just something to evaluate. It's just a little bit of an inventory check. It's a checkup from the neck up. One, what are we saying? But two, like, how are we talking? And I mean literally how are we talking in person, but what is our business and our website and our social media, all this mess saying about us? How are we talking? I think that's something that we can all evaluate, continuously evaluate, and always dial into true north.
100%. I think it's all about dressing for the occasion, and that could be anything and everything you produce from your company, any marketing material that you put out there. So with that said, guys, we hope you like this episode of the Branded Bull podcast. Please tune into more episodes. We're going to be posting these every single week and making sure we share some nice, valuable, tactful content, if that's a word, that you guys can use
It is
in
now,
your
brother.
business, right? So if you like what you heard, please subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and if you guys ever need help from the Branded Bull team, reach out to us at brandedbull.com, and of course, we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Branded Bull Podcast, the podcast dedicated to giving you expert advice and actionable ideas so that your business can make its mark and stand out from the competition. Like what you heard in today's show? Visit brandedbull.com to see how we can help you achieve your marketing and branding goals. Also, please consider leaving a 5-star review. And again, thanks for listening.